Welcome to 3.0 TV. I am Vishakha Thakur. Metaverse has opened a whole new spectrum of opportunities for innovators, investors, developers, and entrepreneurs like never before. According to a report by Markets and Markets, the global metaverse market is projected to reach $426.9 billion by 2027. So, to understand the recent developments and trends in the Web3 space, I am joined by Mr. Utkarsh Shukla, founder and CEO of Yug Metaverse. Welcome to 3.0 TV.
Hi Vishaka, thanks for having me in the show.
Sir, your opening remarks on the current scenario of metaverse market and what is it going to be 5 years down the line?
And I think metaverse is definitely something which essentially is in a growing phase, and not just in a growing phase. Basically, now metaverse is past of the hype phase, and now we are in a phase wherein this actual utilities around metaverse are growing. So I think basically within the next 5 to 10 years, basically, or at least even probably much more less than that, it will sort of grow up into having a definite area in terms of the user experience and the user interaction, the way typically things work. I mean, if you look at the entire market, I mean, for example, if you follow the AI market, there was the first area basically where the entire AI boom happened. I think basically that now basically with a lot of this chat GPT and everything generative AI, the entire usability around AI happens. Similarly, now we are essentially entering into the phase where entire metaverse usability is something which is sort of coming.
All right. So Diwali is around the corner and festivals and large-scale events like Fashion Week continue to become digitized and built into the metaverse. So we have witnessed festivals such as Durga Puja, Holi and Diwali being celebrated in the virtual world. So how Web3 projects are taking the cultural virtual and how is it different from its physical counterpart?
A very happy Diwali to you and all of the listeners. I think Metaverse essentially is taking up culture, especially around the Indian cultural aspects like Holi, Diwali, and a lot of these stuff virtually. Because it helps people to connect up with the platforms easier, as well as I think we have a very rich legacy of culture, not just basically in India, but across internationally. And I think with Metaverse, you have that option to sort of express it far more better in a far more immersive way as compared to, let's say, posting up a wishes on a WhatsApp or a Facebook, because there you essentially are limited to two-dimensional. Here, with the three-dimensional or the immersive angle, you essentially are able to sort of get deep into the immersion of that festival. So, for example, I mean, a lot of guys, in fact, we also had been working with, a lot of brands as well as a lot of, government bodies to essentially sort of bring that entire experience of Diwali, Holi, and a lot of these individual cultural elements to the people.
So the entire week has been positive for Metaverse and the gaming tokens such as tokens of Gala Games, Axie Infinity, Sandbox and Decentraland. So they have also experienced a surge and significant growth rally recently with some token prices gaining as much as 16%. So according to you, what are the reasons behind investor interest into these tokens and will the price continue to soar?
See, I think if you look at it from a financial perspective, what crypto has done is basically, especially the metaverse and the Web3 tokens, and especially when we're talking about metaverse tokens, which essentially also provide not just a crypto sort of an area, but also sort of a legitimacy in terms of being backed and used by actual contents and actual experiences. So what it has done is basically it has sort of taken that place which essentially typically was previously being used by gold. So the moment you have a lot of some of these instabilities in the financial markets, especially around dollar and those sort of areas, typically your investments into gold and crypto sort of go up. And I think basically over a period of time, especially around with a lot of uncertainties in terms of things which are happening either in Middle East or in Europe, basically a lot of investment interest and investor interest will essentially sort of move into crypto and those sort of areas. So I do see a very positive outlook. And as I said, basically the crypto now versus the crypto and NFT market, which was earlier basically. Now the market is pretty much more sensible, and not just sensible, basically, people want to see up values. And I think that's where a lot of these metaverse tokens essentially sort of present up a value to the customer.
Very
So
interesting.
yeah, I'm sort of bullish on that.
All right. Can you please highlight some important developments or some trends in the Web3 space?
See, in terms of the Web3 space, dApps are sort of basically starting to become up to a certain level mainstream. So people are looking at things like crypto, and in fact, basically, if you look at a lot of these storage tokens, so Filecoin and those sort of tokens, basically, so storage is also something which essentially is going mainstream. Obviously, I mean, basically, when we look into this area, basically, the metaverse is basically the moment basically metaverse starts percolating to people, basically the metaverse tokens and metaverse values sort of basically also sort of start increasing up. Obviously, I mean, in terms of the technical perspective, obviously we have made a lot of strides in terms of the technicals of the Web3 and a lot of internal things that you can essentially now do as compared to basically previously. So yeah, I mean, basically technically we essentially have made strides, and also basically from a Web3 perspective or the NFT or the metaverse tokens or metaverse perspective, I think we are in a decent upwards trajectory as of now. And I think basically, yeah, with the user adoption, I mean, post the hype cycle, this essentially will sort of make sense. And now basically we would be seeing up actual usability. So for example, a lot of companies are getting into and sort of creating a lot of value around the Web3. So rather than just the enthusiasts, now this entire market is sort of maturing up.
All right. So, as you mentioned, that countries and companies are embracing metaverse, but there are various roadblocks on the path to metaverse integration in various sectors, such as privacy and interoperability issues. And how and when do you think these will be solved? And is there a need for regulations?
See, I think, I mean, I'll take the last question. So I think regulation essentially is not something which is the necessity. I mean, basically, the problem or the roadblocks that I essentially and we essentially in the metaverse community typically see is more from a customer devices and customer adoption perspective. I mean, basically, for example, in India, I mean, you typically have devices, primarily mobiles and PCs. So, I mean, if you, for example, look at, let's say, video, basically, I mean, YouTube essentially is a big market, basically. So, if you look at video, so, I mean, not just from a consumption or a media perspective, but also from a hardware perspective. I mean, today you have hardwares which have dedicated video encoding and everything inbuilt. Similarly, I think basically that hardware optimization and basically hardware baseline has to be set up. So a lot of those things basically sort of are getting up challenges for a lot of people. So for example, I mean, if you are looking at something which essentially goes into pretty high quality, but then basically you essentially also have to sort of support the lower end devices. So these are areas that people are sort of experimenting, people are sort of finding up sweet spots in that. Also, along with that, the entire area where you essentially are talking about metaverse, you essentially are also talking about the user generated content. And for the user generated content to sort of flourish, I think obviously there needs to be more sort of developers as and tools basically that make the development of user generated content in the metaverse easier. But and that's where I think basically AI is playing and will be playing up a huge role basically. So you do not need to be a programmer or a coder to sort of create up a metaverse application soon. You can essentially simply end up writing up a prompt basically, and the AI can essentially build a lot of that stuff with you. So I think AI is going to be a game changer in this area. And the moment basically, and then I think most of the platforms are at this point focusing on solving up the user generated content sort of an area. I mean, see, with videos, basically you have a simple one click and then you record a video, and another click you upload the video. With metaverses, for users to generate up content by themselves, that is where basically that has to be sort of an easier way for people to create their own content. And I think basically whosoever sort of cracks this up in terms of the best user experience, I think that is going to be a game changer.
All right, so it's all about creating good content for all the users.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being on 3.2 TV and sharing your views and knowledge with our viewers. It was really great having you on the show.
Sure. Thanks a lot.
So this was Mr. Utkarsh Shukla, founder and CEO of Yug Metaverse. Keep watching 3.2 TV. Do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel. And for updates related to Web3, please log on to our website www.3versetv.io or scan the QR code. This is me, Vishakha Thakur, signing off.